Stathopoulos and Josh Phegan come together in an incredible podcast, Grow, Scale, Master.
An energetic approach to drive progress, master skills, build strengths and put the strategy back into rapid business and personal success.
Backed by real-world experience in rapid scaling to playing the long-term game of business, it's the story of all the lessons learned on the journey to mastery.
Be inspired, renew your energy and chase the future with Grow, Scale, Master.
Con, I was revisiting some notes that I'd made, and listening to Jim Collins, and his whole idea, and I think it was good to great, was that the greatest throttle to growth is people. And, the recruitment and the conversation around that, and it just made me think about, the power of people and what you can do. And, the biggest issue that I've got inside of a lot of businesses is they say, we can't find great people and we can't recruit and we can't do this. And whilst you can't, there are phenomenal people that really would love the opportunity to work inside of residential real estate. And what you've got to realize is that this is one of the most incredible businesses, because you get the chance to not be in front of a computer every day. You get the chance to write your own record books. You get the chance to be able to get paid based on result, not just based on time. And the most proactive property management businesses realize that they've actually got a menu of additional ways that you can earn income as a property manager outside of just the core role. And in the sales environment, about how you can actually be paid 100% based on the results of what you actually go out there to go and achieve. And really, this is about, us learning how to go and sell it. I was working with a creative agency at one point, and they were charged, they reckon that the hardest job to recruit for in Australia is someone who works in a nursing home.
Right.
And if you think about that, right, like, you're effectively going to go and work with people towards the end of their life.
Yes.
And a lot of the people that you build relationships with pass away. So there's a lot of very emotional situations happening, and there's a lot of health issues, and there's the progressive decline of your patients, and you can imagine that it's not exactly probably the most uplifting environment when those sorts of things happen to you. And it just gets me to start to think about that, Connor, we just massively underselling what this industry is actually all about, and what the roles are that we've actually got inside of our organizations. And, just like, why do people not see this as a pathway for a career, that you don't exactly see year 12 students lining up and saying, Mum, Dad, I can't wait to be in leasing. When I grow up, I really want to be in property management. When I grow up, I want to be a residential real estate salesperson.
Yeah, I think so, Josh. I think, how lucky are we, and how blessed and how grateful should we be for the opportunity that we get in all markets all across this beautiful country of ours. I mean, I just look at it and I go, this is life-changing if you want it to be. This is life-changing if you put the work in and actually do the job. This is life-changing if you want to become a professional at this as opposed to an amateur. And this can be, life-changing for the people that you get to touch, whether it's your family, your friends, the people that you work in your office, the people in your community, the buyer, the seller, the landlord, or the tenant. I think we're extremely fortunate to be able to do what we do and get paid at the level that we do. And there's people that do very, very well out of real estate. But more importantly, the flexibility and the lifestyle balance that it enables you to have. I just can't, anyone that I speak to, because I'm passionate about what we do, is that if you love people and you love the opportunity to be able to go out in there and do something impactful, then real estate is absolutely the best role, job, industry that you can possibly have. I think people are the biggest opportunity, and they're also the biggest problem in a lot of businesses, in a lot of teams, and with a lot of individuals. And I look at that as a double-edged sword. The opportunity is obviously for the growth and the ability to test yourself and really push yourself to be able to achieve things that you never thought you could do. And the biggest threat is ourselves, is our inability to be able to be disciplined, to follow a system and a process, to be able to execute with brilliance every single day at every single opportunity. And I think the people that are winning right now in any part of a real estate business, property management, whatever, is they're nailing it every single time because they want to see how good they can be.
It makes me think of the great parable about the three bricklayers. And they walk up to the first bricklayer and they say, "Oh, what do you do here?" "I lay bricks." They walk to the second bricklayer. "What do you do here?" "I build walls." And they go to the third bricklayer and they say, "What do you do?" "I build cathedrals." And, when you start thinking about it, when you go up to somebody in leasing, a BDM, a property manager, a salesperson, an operations person, a marketing coordinator, the CEO of a group, how do they explain what it is that they actually do inside of the business? And this is where you unlock the potential in people. And understanding that literally when you become the best in the world at what you do, literally that's one of the great intersections. And I think that Jim had written about that, or said the greatest intersection in life is when you can learn to love what you do, that you can become the best in the world at it, and then ultimately you can get paid really well for doing it. And why I think about this, about that great throttle to the growth, is that when you see someone who is amazing in hospitality or phenomenal in a convenience store, or someone who's incredible at a hotel, or someone who's amazing in airlines, and you see them transition across into residential real estate, they nail it.
Yes.
And the interesting thing is because they come from a customer service experience point of view rather than, I'm out there to go and make more money today. They come from a position of how do I actually impact more people and more lives? And this is where you've got to start to think about the power inside of your organization is all about that. Now, if you think about you, Con, I'm pretty sure that you didn't go from 90 transactions to 91 deals because you decided to put one extra open home board out on a Saturday. I think there was definitely a very clear conversation around the power of people and the power of mergers and acquisitions.
Yes.
And why go and recruit one person when I could recruit 10, 20 or 30 people if I bought a business or I acquired a business or I merged a business into the existing business that I've got.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about why that's important on this throttle for growth.
I think our strategy has been very simple. Can we grow the people that are already in the seats? So how can we get an agent to do an extra deal or an extra listing, per month per agent? How can we actually help that person on their growth journey? The second part of that was, the acquisition of new talent, which is going out and, seeking individuals that were in a market or an area that we had deficient, diminishing or no market share, and then show them what we've been doing and how they could be better off with us and helping them grow. And definitely the power of mergers and acquisition has been one of our key strategies, where we've had the traditional business model of a listing and selling principle that is everything to everyone 100% of the time, yet spends no time with themselves or finds it very difficult to be able to do anything outside of real estate. So they've kind of lost that buzz or that love for what they're doing. And we've been able to give them a different gateway where they can actually get back to what they love, their first principle of actually transacting, listing and selling, and not having to run the operations of the business or the property management side of the business or sales agents or staff, and really unlock their potential. And we've done that now 3 times. We're about to do it again. And the growth has been exponential. The growth of the individual and the individuals that come with that business. But more importantly, when we've put them into an existing footprint, it's not 1 + 1 = 2. It's 1 + 1 = 11. You get, the arbitrage on the more signboards, the digital signboards, more stuff in letterbox, more listings, more sales, more teamwork, more auctions, more everything. And I think momentum breeds momentum. So for us, that's a key strategy. And it's more about making sure that we are known, or we do know personally all the key players in all of our marketplaces. I don't look at other agencies and other agents as competitors. I look at other people like me that are trying to do their best, trying to have a red hot go. And if that doesn't work, then we're a really great plan B.
The interesting conversation is that, what a lot of people forget here is that it's the acquisition of relationships.
Absolutely.
So, when someone says, hey, Josh, I got a chance to buy a property management business, but, the valuation's a bit high and I'm not really sure I should do it. I said, hey. So where do the landlords live? I don't know. What about their principal place of residence? I don't know. How many of them have got another property they'd like to bring on? I don't know. How many would like to go and buy another? I'm not sure. How many archived landlords have they got? Oh, I'm not sure. How many people have they pitched for on business that they didn't win in the property management space that you could now go after? I'm not sure. Where do those archived landlords actually live in terms of principal place of residence? And a quick question, out of all of those data sets that I just showed you, how many of them are included in the valuation?
None.
And they go, what do you reckon about the valuation? I said, it's cheap, man. It's cheap. Buy 10. And this is that whole idea, is that literally it's one thing to have the idea. It's a different level to get into the execution. But what you've got to think about is getting to market share success.
Absolutely.
Con, when you look at it, it's like, there's a great disciplined idea that slow growth is good growth because it can actually be built out over a period of time. So we're not going to geographically expand to the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 locations until we've got to commanding position inside of our existing.
Yes.
How important is it to have discipline about, getting core before you go and add extras?
I think it's like, measuring revenue, not profit. I think our industry is used to, I've done X amount of GCI, but it's, I've got 7 people that work in my team and, it's very expensive because I spend this much money on social. So for us, a key metric in our business is all about market share. And we measure that every quarter. And the reason why we do that is because if we can gain an extra 1 or 2 or 3% market share percentage points per quarter, per half year, or per annum, we know when markets shift those cycles, whether they're good cycles or they're tough cycles, the gap just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So our discipline's always been around, if we're going to look at a merger and an acquisition, it's going to be in a marketplace where we can accelerate the existing footprint that we've got, or we're in a market where we've got deficient or diminishing market share, and this will enable us to be able to have that impact on market share surrounding. So by being a feeder suburb, that actually will organically help us grow that. So market share should be the only measurement of success.
And one of the great ones is how many opens does your business do on a Saturday?
Yeah.
I'm not talking about double opens. I'm talking about individuals.
We would do in excess of 180 opens every weekend.
Do you remember how many you're doing on the first Saturday when you came?
4.
Yeah, so if you have a look at that, that's actually what market share success is about, is the number of opens on a Saturday could be the simple measure.
Yes.
And then starting to get really clear about this activity so that then you can make sure that you've got proper revenue planning. And if you say, okay, great, Josh, I'm only going to measure the number of opens that are less than 30 days on market, because that's active stock, which is growing database. And so if I'm bringing in a new person and I say, okay, great, Josh, what's your aspirational sprint for me? I want you to get to 5 opens on a Saturday. I don't care how we do it, but we've got to get you to 5 opens on a Saturday, because at 5 opens on a Saturday, you're meeting neighbors and buyer-sellers, and you're talking to people and you're growing database. And then those opens have to be less than 28 days on market. And it's a foundational theory that if you get it right, has the chance to really change the course of an entire business.
Yeah, totally agree. Experiences that rapidly shaped you.
This is an interesting one. And I was reading Pixar's story about their 21 rules of storytelling. And it's interesting because one of them was about this whole idea about the hero's journey. So back when I was little, the cartoons were different. It was Looney Tunes, and there was a whole conversation as well about Batman and Robin, and then there was that was kind of there. And in the more modern era, it's about probably Woody from Toy Story. And naturally, when you're watching Toy Story, if you're doing it with your kids, or maybe it's just you on your own, and when you're watching it, and there's a moment where you're like, oh my God, I think that Woody's going to die. And you want to close your eyes and you think he's not going to make it, and there's this tension in the movie, and then naturally Woody ends up coming through in the end, and he ends up, and that's the story, and it's amazing, and there's this emotion and this elation and all of these things that go on. But that is great, a great metaphor in terms of the hero's journey, that expect adversity. There will be moments where you will not even remotely look like you're going to make it.
Yeah.
But there'll be moments where you're going to come through, and in the end you will, and that's ultimately the great part of the journey. But understand that literally expect adversity. So I've developed 2 words at the moment which I use called of course. So so something goes on, you lost that piece of business, of course.
Oh, of course.
That person wants to negotiate on fee, of course. That person wants an extra ticket to that event, of course. So that person's just resigned, of course. And you know what? It's just made me feel so much more relaxed about things, that understanding, hey, this is a natural part of the course.
Yes.
Because in order for these things to occur, this is exactly where it's going to go. And if you can start to understand that, then that will change, I think, the way that you go to operate, because you will expect that those things will actually happen, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I was reflecting on some conference notes from quite a while ago, and we had the opportunity to have, I think his name's Mark Maguire. I probably have butchered that. I don't follow rugby league. Sorry, guys. I follow AFL football. But the coach of the South Sydney Rabbitohs, the year that they won, he came and spoke to our head office, our leadership team, and he spoke about amateurs versus pros and just the behaviours and the actions of each. And just to condense it down, Josh, amateurs, they're the guys that come out, they train twice a week, they play on a Friday, Saturday or Sunday, and then after the game, they go and smash a few beers and a few meat pies, and then they kind of, do that again the next week. And he spoke about the pros in his world were the ones that were wearing the Aura rings and the Whoop bands. And when they came into training, those devices were taken off so they could check out their REM sleep and their core sleep and their deep sleep, and they could weigh them and check their hydration levels. They would give them a blood sugar pintick a test so they can actually see what they need to feed them, and then they would customize the training for that day. It was being followed with drones, so they could actually measure every single part of training, and then once they had their day out, they'd go into active recovery and feeding and hydration. And it got me thinking about, at what level or frequency are we playing at? Are we playing at that amateur level where we're just going out there smashing a few beers and a few pies? Or are we actually inspecting every part of our business and expecting that we're going to get a different result?
Something that's changing your view.
Con, this is a really interesting one about, something that changes your view. And I never really understood about the power of what we go to call business models. And, when I go to say about business models, it's like it's quite interesting in watching, one of my oldest clients is in his early 80s and, he doesn't have the aspirational sprint to want to be Alexander Phillips. And that's actually okay because what he's actually looking for is purpose and meaning and context and having something to do. And respectfully, he doesn't need the money now. He's in a position that what he needs is the challenge and he enjoys the people and getting around people and doing that and is phenomenal at culture. And, when you think about it, that one of the greatest challenges that we have as we get older is the perception that we might be becoming irrelevant. If you can be relevant to people and be doing open houses and auctions, what a phenomenal career and a great chance to be able to go and do those things. And this is the whole problem in the notion with retirement. This is that literally like you're going to work your entire life to then not be needed anymore. And so that's what I'm saying. I understand about the importance of what we've got to call lifestyle hours. But it is important to understand your business model. And we characterized this last year with the whole idea about, imagine, where do you want to go? And like out the front of my house, I've got 2 cars parked for you, Con, and we've got a Corolla and we've got a Land Cruiser. Which one do you want to take? And most people make it a judgment straight away. Oh, I'm taking the Land Cruiser. Oh, no, I'm just on the Corolla or whatever. And the interesting conversation is, well, how can you make a decision on that vehicle if we haven't decided where we're going?
Yeah.
So if you start to say, okay, great, we're just whipping into town to quickly pick up a couple of tickets to go see Jay-Z, then ultimately we might just take the Corolla. But yet if we're going to go to the coast and we're towing the boat, then we're definitely going to need the Land Cruiser, which is about the size of the vehicle that we're going to need to go where we're going to need to go to. And so this is about getting clarity about that there actually is a choice about business models and growth should be a very specific, strategic, explicit decision that you actually make in life about what's the size of the business model I'm going to need for where I'm going to go, given my age, my profile, my resources, my desire, the size of market, all of those things that come into helping you to make those decisions about, where you're going to go. Thoughts on some of that and why that's important to people?
I think that's really important. I mean, I had the opportunity to sit down with a very successful entrepreneur actually last week, and I asked him his thoughts around, growth and business and, property and investing, and this person's done extremely well in life. And he gave me 2 pieces of advice, Josh. The first one was let the grass grow, meaning that all great investments take time, and too often or not, people get impatient and, want to knock down that house or that building to build something bigger, but they haven't actually worked out the financial costs or the financial implications of that. So the first one was watch the grass grow. And the second one was around just in terms of how you run business and how you scale business. And he's been, as I said, very successful. And his strategy around that was do nothing. And I said, what do you mean by that? And he said, well, rather than having your calendar full every single minute of every single day, the creativity and the time and space that you need to contemplate what business model you're running, what your next move is, where your next merger and acquisition requires energy, and that space requires that space, if that makes sense.
Of course it does. I got to see the CEO of Salesforce, Mark Benioff, speak, and he said, 60% of his calendar is unscheduled.
Wow.
Yeah. And that freaked me right out.
Me too.
So you know what I did? Is that now I've scheduled unscheduled time.
So you've scheduled. Have you got that in your calendar?
I do, yeah. It's Saturday mornings. I'm like so loose with my time. It's insane.
Oh, it's amazing.
But you know what? It changes the way that you think, feel, and act because it gives you opportunity to be able to go and chase, different opportunities that come your way.
Totally agree.